Ladies and gentlemen, UFC 286, the rematch all UFC fans have been waiting for. Leon Edwards defending his title after he brutally knocked out Kamaru the Nigerian Nightmare Usman. This is a fight that nobody can pick. Can Usman come back in a dominant fashion and regain his title, or will Leon Edwards have repeat of his absolutely stunning knockout and knock out Kamaru Usman, or even win on points and retain his title? In this video, we're going to be going over how both fighters can win, what their tactics should be to win, and then at the end, we're going to make a prediction on who we think is going to win this fight. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. First up, let's get into how Kamaru Usman needs to go about winning this to get his title back. So as I'm sure all UFC fans will have known, unless they've been living under a rock, Usman was one of the most dominant champions on such a long win streak. He was about to overtake the highest win streak of a UFC champion before he got knocked out. And Kamaru Usman, without a shadow of a doubt, is one of the greatest welterweights of all time. Nobody can take that away from him. And how does he win this fight? What I think is how he wins this fight is he just cleans up his defense, cleans up his, the little errors, that led to that knockout. Because a lot of people just seem to think that it was just a little one kick out of nowhere fluke, but that's not true. In fact, Leon Edwards had been timing that kick before, he'd thrown it before, it was just a matter of time before it landed. So I'm not going to subscribe to this idea that it was just a complete fluke out of nowhere, and I don't think Kamaru Usman should be subscribing to that either, because if he subscribes to that idea and just thinks, oh, it's just a fluke, it won't happen again, 1 in a million chance, then it could very well happen again, because it would be underestimating the ability of Leon Edwards, who's a top class operator. Kamaru Usman has got absolutely outstanding wrestling. Obviously, I think that's, everybody would acknowledge that is Kamaru Usman's best asset in this fight, and I think that's what he needs to use to his strength. If I was Kamaru Usman, I'd be looking to take Leon Edwards down early. I think although Leon Edwards did take that down Usman in the last fight, I think that Usman's grappling skills are far better than the grappling skills of Leon Edwards, and I think that if Kamaru Usman can get down Leon Edwards early, drain him in those first 2 rounds, then we could see a stoppage in the third. He'll be disheartened, even though I think Leon Edwards is full of heart. It will damage his confidence a little bit if he's just being dominated in the first 2 rounds, and I think that Kamaru Usman could get an early finish if he is on point with his wrestling. So that is one way that I think Kamaru Usman needs to tighten up his game, and one tactic that Kamaru Usman could use to get a victory in this fight. Secondly, I think that Kamaru Usman needs to make sure that Leon Edwards doesn't start winning the fight. I think that Kamaru Usman is a fighter who needs to stay in control of the fight. This fight is in London at the O2 Arena. Kamaru Usman is not going to be the fan favourite. Everybody's going to be cheering on Leon Edwards. The English fans, we know how to do it best, screaming and cheering. We get behind our guys, and I think that that's something that Kamaru Usman cannot let happen. Kamaru Usman, like I said, if he gets Edwards down, the crowd will get annoyed. There'll be a bit of a boring fight, people may call it. Sometimes people like to say that Usman's fights are boring, but that is a tactic. He needs to make sure the crowd doesn't get behind Edwards. If Edwards starts picking off Usman, landing some nice shots at the start of the first couple of rounds, then it could go all wrong for Usman. If he needs to make sure that Leon Edwards doesn't get that crowd behind him, because we saw it with his coach in the final round. When he's got people motivating him, he goes out there and delivers. Kamaru Usman needs to stifle the British crowd, and I think that's something that he can do by, as I said earlier in the first point, by getting him down, making it a bit of a boring fight, just out wrestling him in the first 2 rounds, just to make sure Edwards' confidence is a bit shot and the crowd are not getting behind Edwards and rallying him on, because the crowd is no joke. We saw how in not just the UFC, in football, in other sports, how without a crowd it's so different, and with the crowd there, the crowd really affects the fight. And I think in this fight, with the fact that a big UFC fight hasn't been to London in so long, they could really play a big part, and the crowd control from the fighters is something that is a very underrated but will be a very necessary skill in this fight. And if Kamaru Usman can manage to stifle the crowd, implement his game plan, then that'll be something that I think will be very useful for him in this fight. On to Leon Rocky Edwards. What does he need to do to make sure he repeats his knockout, or just get a victory in general? Because I'm pretty sure if you offered it to Leon Edwards, he would just take a points decision as well. But let's get into it. I think that first of all, as I said with Kamaru Usman, not thinking that it was a fluke, Leon Edwards needs to not think that, he's knocked him out already. Kamaru Usman's old, that, he'll just go in there and do it again, because that is not true. Kamaru Usman is a top level fighter, top level operator, and Leon Edwards could not overlook him, because Kamaru Usman is very much still at the level of a fighter who can put him away or just dominate him over a fight. So that is the first thing that Leon Edwards needs to do, not overlook Kamaru Usman. But as I said, don't overlook him. But that's not to say that he can't use the previous fight to his confidence and to his advantage. Kamaru Usman was winning the fight in the fifth round, up until the fifth round. So that is something that Leon Edwards needs to remember. The fact that if he does go behind, and I think that Kamaru Usman is going to try and take it to the ground early and win the first couple of rounds, that he needs to remember that it's not over. And I think that that's something nobody's going to doubt. Nobody doubts the fact that Leon Edwards will never give up. But as we said in the previous fight, Leon Edwards needs to remember how it wasn't all going his way in that first fight, in the second fight actually, because this is their third fight, but it wasn't all going his way. And I think that Leon Edwards just needs to, hopefully in his camp, he's been brushing up on the things that were at his detriment and were the reason why he was losing the first fight. So yeah, don't let himself get overconfident. Secondly, if I was him, I would use the fact that I think Kamaru Usman is obviously that left kick to the face, to the chin, because that is something that Kamaru Usman is going to be obviously wary about. That shot, I would be highly, highly surprised if that shot lands again and puts some Usman down like that, because Usman's going to be so wary of that. But if I was him, I would test the mental strength of Kamaru Usman, because getting knocked out like that can really change a fighter. You can never fight the same again if you've not got the mental fortitude to just withstand it. Not let the mental aspect get to you. And if Leon Edwards starts throwing a couple of those kicks, just testing the waters, just see how Usman reacts. Is he over scared of that? And if he's over scared of that, he can either, he can use it to his advantage. He can feint with the left, come with an overhand right. He can really use that, because if Kamaru Usman's too focused on that, then he won't be focusing on the other aspect of Leon Edwards' game. And Leon Edwards is an all-round fighter. I wouldn't say that he's absolutely amazing in one aspect, as we would say with Usman with his wrestling. I would say that he's more of an all-round. He's just very decent. Not even decent. He's very good at a lot of things. His striker's amazing, as we saw with that knockout, and his wrestler's very good, as we saw him take down Usman, something that not many fighters can say that they've done. But yeah, Leon Edwards needs to test the mental fortitude of Kamaru Usman. Will Kamaru Usman be very nervous of them getting knocked out? That's another thing. Will he be scared of Leon Edwards' power? Not just the kick, his punches, everything. Because getting knocked out like that, it's embarrassing. Kamaru Usman has been getting clowned. Anytime he tweets or posts on anything, that knockout, there's a picture of him led down, flat, knocked out is there. And Kamaru Usman doesn't want that to happen again. So it's something that is very important. Kamaru Usman may be mentally scared of getting hit again, and that's something that Leon Edwards can use to his advantage. Now on to who I think will win this fight. I think this fight will be very close. I think that Leon Edwards will not be losing the fight if we go to the fifth round. I think it's going to go the distance. I think that Leon Edwards will not be losing as clearly as he was in that fifth round. I think that Leon Edwards is going to be more confident, because he's already had that victory in the previous fight. I think that it'll just be a more action-packed fight, and I think that Edwards is going to throw more. And I think that Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, it could be level going into the fifth round. But I think the edge goes to Kamaru Usman. I think that Kamaru Usman, although as I said, it wasn't a complete fluke, but it wasn't an absolute domination, and it's something that the error that Kamaru Usman made in not checking that kick or blocking it correctly, is something that can be easily fixed, as opposed to Leon Edwards transforming his whole style and ability to be able to deal with Kamaru Usman. And I think that Kamaru Usman is such a high level fight. He's one of the pound for pound all time the best fighters the UFC has seen. And I think that a fighter like that, and with all the title defenses he's had, I think he's got the mental fortitude to come back. And he's had an 11-week camp. He's been training, and I think that Kamaru Usman is going to come in here. I think that he's going to win this fight either 3 rounds to 2 or 4 rounds to 1. I think that even though it'll be a 4 rounds to 1, it won't be an absolute dominant performance. The rounds will be close, but Kamaru Usman will edge it. I can see him taking down Leon early, so maybe even for most of the fight getting him down on the ground. But yeah, Kamaru Usman is who I'm going with to win this fight and getting the first belt back for the 3 Nigerian fighters, being Izzy, Usman and Anthony Joshua, who have all lost their belts in 2022. But yeah, let me know if you agree with my prediction, and if you don't agree with my prediction, let me know why, and put down who you think. Well, obviously, if you don't agree with my prediction, you're going to think Leon Edwards is going to win, but let me know how you think he wins. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, it just help out a lot. And yeah, that's all from me, guys.